things are working for my good. He's intentional, never failing. I know that all things are working for my good. 'Cause he's intentional, never failing. I know that all things are working for my good. He's intentional. Hey, never failing. I know that all things are working for my good. 'Cause he's intentional, never failing. Welcome to Bold in Her Purpose Ministry. I am Jaquita B, your confidence and empowerment coach. I am charged by God Himself to empower women to flourish in confidence and walk boldly in their purpose, no matter the setbacks of life. Okay, and I come on here to edify and exhort the body of Christ, so we are in one accord in doing the will of God. Okay, and whatever He gives me, I shall deliver. Welcome to those. This is your first time tuning in. I appreciate it. Go ahead and subscribe so you'll know every time I come back. And those of you who are already subscribed, thank you for coming back to dine and to eat and to chew with me. Okay? So listen, today we're going to talk about God is testing your faith. Okay? Those that are in transition, especially, like, this is a time of testing. You know, God tell you to do one thing and He tell you that it's going to look like this. He's giving you a promise, He's giving you a vision, but yet and still it looks nothing like what He said. This is a time of testing, right? He may have given some of us specific dates to do certain things or for certain things to happen, and that date has passed and you see no evidence or no manifestation of the thing that He said that's going to happen on this specific day. But I stopped by to tell you that just because you did not see it does not mean it did not take place in the spirit realm. And because He told us on a specific day that something was going to happen, it could be the start of that thing, or it could be the people getting in place to make that thing come to fruition, right? It could be the start of it. It does not mean that the thing that He told you would be completed on that specific day. But because we get in our own mindset and we want to see what we want to see, right? We think that because it didn't happen the way that we want it to happen, and we don't see the results we want to see, that God didn't do it for us. And that does not mean that. But I want you to stay encouraged, and I want you to stay holding on to your faith, because sometimes when we expect things to happen and it don't go our way, it can sometimes make our hope deferred. So I came by to tell you that don't allow what you wanted to happen get you in a place to where you're not believing in God and you move out of position. Okay, it is just a time of testing. And why does God need to test our faith in this moment, in the middle of a transition, in the middle of this wilderness, in the middle of whatever situation or process you are in? Why does God see fit to test us during this time? Number one, because He got to see that He can trust us. Are we depending solely on Him to provide for us, to pull us out, to get us through to the other side? Or are we doing it in our own strength? Or are we depending on man, right? So He got to make sure that we are completely dependent upon Him, and also that our heart is postured in the correct place. Okay, do we have a reverence for God? Are we doing what He told us to do, no matter how we feel, no matter what it looked like, no matter who we got with us, no matter who's supporting us, no matter how much money we got? Are we doing what He told us to do? Are we activating our faith to the point where if He gave us a promise, what actions of faith have you taken? Can He trust you? Are you in a place to where you allowing your faith to grow, or are you stifling your faith because you sitting on your hands because you don't see what he said? That's not how God works, okay? We got to put some action in to be able to nurture what he promised us, to be able to work the prophecy, okay? Work that thing, pray over that thing, fast, put action to your hands, your steps, your mouth. Allow your mouth to speak life into that thing. What are you speaking over that thing? So your faith is being tested because the level that God is getting ready to elevate you to, he got to know that you have the capacity to hold on to that thing once he bless you with it. He got to know that you're going to be a good steward over the thing that he has promised you. That once you reach that promised land, once you get out of that wilderness, once you get to the place of where God told you he was taking you or what he was giving you, can you sustain? And we got to be in this place right now. It is a training ground. Yes, it's tough. Yes, it's hard. The testing of our faith is training us. It's training us for the new level of enemies that we're going to gain when we get to this next level, right? It's training us to be able to war. It's training us to be able to speak life even though we don't see it, even though it looks desolate, even though it's dry. He's training us to speak to that thing so that it can live. Speak to that thing so it can bear fruit. Speak to that thing so it can begin to form the future, the dream, the goal that we have that he has placed on the inside of us, right? So your faith is being tested because God got to know you're dependent on him and he can trust you at a level where you deserve to have more. Sometimes we don't even deserve to have more, but because God's will and purpose has to come to pass, he's going to give it to us anyway if we're walking by faith and if he can trust us in the place where we are right now. Okay? So another thing, in Genesis 22, Abraham faith was being tested. And what stood out to me was Abraham was in the right place. And in the right place, I mean the place of obedience. Are you in the place of obedience? Have you done everything that God has told you to do? Have you done what he told you to do? I don't care how small or how big. We need to look at ourselves and make sure that we are in a place of obedience, because Abraham did exactly what God told him to do. He said, go and I'll tell you which mountain to sacrifice your son on. I'll tell you which mountain to sacrifice the burnt offering. He just went. He didn't have all the details. He didn't even know exactly what was about to happen. But all he knew was, I got to do what God is telling me to do, and that God is going to provide. Because when Isaac questioned him, his response back to Isaac was, God will provide. That's the type of faith that you need to have. I don't care what it looked like. I don't care if I got to sacrifice something that I completely love. I know that God is going to provide. I don't know how he going to provide. I don't know when he going to show up, but God will provide. That is the attitude that we got to have in this time of testing, knowing that God will provide. Our faith has to speak for us. Our faith has to be at a place to where our actions are going beyond what we see, because sometimes we don't react to a thing because of what it looked like. You got to react and worry about what God say and what he told you to do. Act on that thing and do that thing. Okay? So your faith is being tested in this time. But it's for a good cause. It's for a good reason. God is stretching you because he's getting ready to use you in a magnitude that you've never been used before. And in order for you to be able to do what he's calling you to do, he got to stretch you. You got to suffer for a little while. You got to know that you got to have faith that that I don't see nothing what God said, but I believe that He gonna come through. I believe that He's gonna provide. I believe that the blessings is gonna begin to manifest. I believe that evidence will be in my hands. I believe it, even though I can't see it. Okay, another thing that pointed out that got my attention in Genesis 22 was Abraham looked up. What are you doing in your time of testing? Are you around here with your head hanging down? You complaining? Are you only looking at the problem? Are you focusing on what this person to your right and to your left is doing? Are you complaining about God? Why everything got to be so hard for me? Why do I have to continue to get beat up? And why do I got to be in this place of suffering for so long? Or are you looking up and praying and looking toward the hill to which your help coming from? Or are you looking up because you got to be able to look up to recognize the ram in the bush? Abraham was looking up. He was looking up to hear God's voice. He was looking up to be able to notice that God provided for me, that the angel of the Lord came and spoke to him. And when the angel of the Lord spoke to him, he looked up and he realized God had provided. So in this time of testing, don't have your head held down. Don't you be looking and discouraging yourself and talking down on yourself. Hold your head up high, because you need to be able to recognize when God sends the ram in the bush. If you too busy worried about what's going on over here and what's going on over there and complaining about your situation and what you don't have, you're gonna miss the ram in the bush. So Abraham was looking up. He looked up, and when he looked up, first he heard the angel of the Lord, and when he looked up, he recognized that God had provided. So I need your eyes to be looking up. Don't be concentrating on nothing else, right? Learn to speak life and look up and begin to stay in a time of prayer, a time of fasting during this testing, right? God got to know that He can trust you with where you are right now and where He is taking you and what He is about to do in your life. He's about to use you mightily. You have to go through this testing and prove that I'm ready. God, I am ready. I am walking in obedience. I have suffered. And you said, those who suffer with me shall reign with me. Your reward is on the other side of this suffering. Don't look at where you are, but look at who He has in this place, because He have you in this place because He chose you. He chose you to do something great. He chose you to do something mighty. He chose you to do a good work. But the only way that you can get to this next level is if you are tested and tried. So don't beat yourself up. Don't be discouraged because you don't see what God said. Look up. Be in a place of obedience, no matter what. Lead with discernment, right? And allow your obedience to be stronger than your feelings, because you are so close. You are so close to reaching your promised land. You are so close to receiving your breakthrough. You are so close to birthing that thing out. You are so close. Keep going, keep looking up, and keep speaking life. And until next time, spread love, seek light, and mind your blessings. Bye.